Hi, everyone. I'm Laura Backus. Welcome to the Kidlit Distancing Social. For those of you who are brand new with us, welcome. I am the publisher of the Children's Book Insider newsletter, which I'll tell you about in a second. And I also wanted to tell you all that as of this episode, we have been doing the Kidlit Distancing Social for 1 year, which is pretty amazing. We started it the first week in April, and now we've come full circle. So next week we'll start year 2 of the Kidlit Distancing Social. So that's pretty amazing. And we have not done every single week. We've probably missed a handful because of holidays and this and that, but we've been here a lot, and a lot of you who are here every week have been here with me. So I want to thank you all for watching for so long, for joining us every week, every Tuesday. It used to be Thursday. We switched to Tuesdays a while back. And I'd also like to ask you, share this with your friends, your writer friends. Tell them about the social. When you get the link in the email every week, pass it on. Post it on Facebook, whatever you want to do. We really love sharing this, and we want to get as many people as possible here because this is just our way of giving back to the Kidlit community, keeping us all going during these times. And we intend to keep this social going even after the world returns to a more normal state. And so hope to keep seeing you on Tuesday nights. So bring your friends. All right. So for those of you brand new to us, if you want to know more about us and get on the list so that you can get notifications every week of our guests and also all the other fun stuff we do, you can go to writeforkids.org/ultimate-cheat sheet. And you'll get on our list, and you'll also get a free ebook. This is not only marks the end of year 1 of our social, but actually starting at the end of April, well, through April will be the end of our 30th year in business. So what we have done in this cheat sheet is compiled our best advice for beginners from 30 years in business, and it's yours for free for signing up. And if you want to join our newsletter, Children's Book Insider, we have a special gift price for our socialites, $5 a month. You get a newsletter every month delivered to your inbox, which is about 20 pages a month. Lots of market info, how-to articles, interviews with authors, all sorts of people. We also have a spotlight article every month, either an agent or an editor interview, and they give us a special above the slush pile submission opportunity for our subscribers, where you can submit to them using a special code and jump over the slush pile. And also you'll have access to our membership site, the CBI Clubhouse, which houses much of that 30 years of knowledge that you have access to with your subscription. writeforkids.org/CBI. Okay, I have some great celebrations tonight, which is very fitting for the end of our first year of the Kidlit Distancing Social. So Jean Daigneau's second nonfiction book with Chicago Review Press, Ellis Island and Immigration for Kids, is scheduled for December 2021 release and can now be seen on Amazon for pre-order. Yay! And Jean was one of my guests last week, part of that 2-for-1 Kid Critiques with Gloria Adams, and it was an amazing interview. If you didn't catch it, please go back and watch the replay because they had a lot of great information on how to revise and edit your manuscripts. Christopher Layfield writes that he's recently signed with agent Jessica Casimir Jacobs at the Deborah Harris Agency. Yay, Christopher, congrats on that. And we really hope to get good news soon about your first book sale. Be sure to let us know. Okay, here's 2 more. Chandra Moore has self-published Mac the Immunobuddy, and it's available on Amazon. And there he is with Corona Corn. So you can go check that out on Amazon. And Janina Pekova has just published 2 picture books with Bumble Books publisher in South Africa, The Big Rescue and The Cheeky Spider, both in the A Little Five-Tail series, and she's also the illustrator of those 2 books. So congratulations, Janina. Congrats to all our celebrations this week. It's wonderful news for everybody. I want to hear your good news. Send me a little description of what you're celebrating to mail@writeforkids.org and put celebrate in the subject line, and we will feature you on a future Kidlit Distancing Social. And no celebration is too small. It does not have to be a publication. Any step in your journey you want to celebrate with us, we are happy to do that. Okay, I have a good link of interest this week. So I've talked in the past about Victoria Strauss's blog, Writer Beware, and how amazing she is at tracking down things that writers need to be cautious of and really investigating. So there have been a bunch of scams that she has detailed recently, but this one is really a biggie. It's a scam by a company calling itself Right Choice Media that claims to head the Literary Review of Books program, sponsored by several major US publishers, and it lists several of the big 5 publishers in its correspondence. Authors are invited to join this program, and basically the gist of it, she explains this all on her website or on her blog, but the gist of it is this is supposedly a way to vet manuscripts. You submit your manuscript, and if it is chosen to be part of this literary review of books, then supposedly literary agents will read the manuscript, write up a pitch it to a publisher, and it's one big sort of pool of manuscripts that all of these big publishers are supposedly drawing from. And of course, there's a fee involved. And of course, the more you pay, the more things will be in the pitch from the agent. Now, most of you hear this kind of thing and go, well, of course, that's a scam. But these things prey on, first of all, authors who are new to the business and don't quite understand how publishing works. And also people who are frustrated with the submission process and realize that it can take a long time, that publishers get a lot of manuscripts, and anything that seems like a shortcut seems worth the risk or worth the investment. No, if it sounds too good to be true, it is. There are no shortcuts. Anyway, go to her blog. I have a bit.ly link here, bit.ly/right choice scam. And capital R, capital C, capital S, Right Choice Scam. And she also links to a bunch of other scams that she has detailed in the last year from supposed literary agents and all kinds of stuff. If you are contacted directly by anybody who wants to represent you or do anything like this, it's probably a scam. They're not going to contact you. It's up to you to contact them. Okay. Now, my amazing, amazing guest. So for those of you who are regular socialites, you'll recognize our guest tonight, Jennifer Swanson, who visited the Kidlit Distancing Social back in February, along with fellow nonfiction authors Melissa Stewart and Cynthia Levinson, to talk about why kids love nonfiction. But today we had to have Jennifer back to talk about platform, because she does platform so well. So she's the award-winning author of over 40 nonfiction books for children, mostly about science and technology. And her books have received many accolades, including, just to name a few here, Parents' Choice Gold Award, Green Earth Book Honor Award, National Science Teaching Best STEM Award. Most recently, Beastly Bionics won a Gold Florida Book Award and was listed as one of the best STEM books of 2021 by the Children's Book Council. And she just received a Kirkus starred review for her newest book, Rock, Fossil, and Shell Hunting, the Definitive Interactive Nature Guide, which isn't even out yet. It's coming out in April, and she's already got a starred review. So Jennifer's love of science and technology began when she started a science club in her garage at age 7, and her passion continues to echo through everything she does. And she's going to show you her website and talk about some of these things. But I just wanted you to get a quick bird's eye view here. You can see that everything on her site really ties in with this brand, which is Science Rocks. So Jennifer, thank you for being here with me again on the Kidlit Distancing Social.
Well, thanks for having me, Laura.
Yeah.
Can you hear me okay?
I can hear you great.
Okay, great. I am excited to be here tonight. So thanks for having me back.
Yeah. So this is something this is a topic we haven't covered directly on the social yet. So I'm really glad we're doing it here tonight. First of all, for those of you who are, for those people who are listening who might be kind of new to the terminology of platform, what is an author platform and how is that different from an author brand?
Well, I'm going to use what you said to me because you were right. I agree with you. So platform to me is kind of the method that you're using to get the word out about yourself. So in my case, a lot of it is a website. It can be social media. It can be speaking engagements. And then your brand, like my brand is Science Rocks. So your brand is kind of what you're about, and it describes you in a different way, and it kind of encapsulates everything. Although if you look at my website, when we go over it, you'll see I do have outliers, which is okay, because I have books that don't fit into that.
Sure. I'm sorry. I just realized my background was weird. My teeth looked gray, so I'm just fixing it. Didn't mean to have, I thought that wasn't going to happen while you were talking. I'm so sorry. Okay, great. So, so Science Rocks, you know, is front and center. And I, by the way, I love that sort of slogan, Science Rocks. I think it just sums up everything so beautifully. So how soon should an author start thinking about building a platform? Do you think this is different for fiction and nonfiction?
Well, okay, so let me take the first part first. So I think as a new author, and even as an experienced author, we like the little flashy things, right? And we're always trying to jump onto the bandwagon. Like, oh my gosh, people started on Facebook and now they moved to Twitter and now they're on Instagram and now they're on TikTok, which I won't touch because I can't do that many platforms.
I know.
So I think what you need to do is don't put the cart before the horse. So if you are just starting out, then you need to write and you need to get writing credits and you need to establish yourself. Should you have a website? Yes, but again, you need to have something to put on it, sort of. You know, I just think that don't spend a lot of time creating a brand until you kind of know where you're gonna go. Because like, I wish you could see like my first websites, right? Because this is my new website, but I've been in the business 12 plus years and I've had 5 different redesigns of my website that just kept getting narrower and narrower and narrower as I figured out what I wanted to be and the brand I wanted to show. So, you know, I don't know that you need one right out of the gate, but be thinking about it maybe, or see where your career takes you, kind of.
Well, and I think you're right, because if you just have one book out, you might not know what your brand is yet because you don't have a brand. You know, it kind of takes several books before you can say, this is who I am as an author.
Exactly.
And so, right. So worrying about that all up front. I mean, I think it's probably good to have some sort of social media presence early on, but it doesn't have to be a big flashy website is what you're saying.
No,
right.
No. I mean, when you're looking for at agents and editors, the first thing they're going to do is they're going to go to social media these days and check you out. They don't want to know who you are and kind of vet you, so to speak.
Right.
You know, so you need to have something, but do you need to have a platform? Not necessarily. I mean, if you want to get involved in a blog, like a group blog, great. If it fits what you want to do, but don't just go out and say, oh, I have to do this. And then, you know, because that takes away from your writing kind of thing.
Yes. So the platform is the way you're getting your message out to your readers and the way you're getting your brand out. Is it important? This is a question I didn't tell you I was going to ask. Sorry.
That's fine. I can think on my feet. I'm good.
I know you can. I know you can. I'm not worried. If you're writing part-time, if you still have a day job and you're writing part-time, is a platform going to take so much time that it's going to take away from the little bit of time you have to write?
It shouldn't, no.
Okay. Okay.
Sorry, I didn't know if there was a second part to that, but my immediate answer is it should not.
Okay.
And that should work even if you're an experienced author. Right? Like those of us that we have books coming out and all this kind of stuff, you have to not let doing your platform and making your statements on social media take away from writing that next book for you or pitching to your agent or whatever. Because it can suck you in. Everybody knows that, right?
Right. On the other hand, if you have a well-oiled platform, as you do, does that ultimately make it, do you think, easier to sell more books? Certainly to sell the books you have, but do you think it's easier to get new book contracts if editors can see, oh, she's got this big platform that will help get the word out?
Yes. So here's how my platform about writing science books helped me. So I started in the educational market. So those of you that don't know what that is, that's work for hire. I started with Capstone and some of the bigger educational markets. And then I moved to trade, started with National Geographic and so forth. As I started building the books that I wrote and I started going to conferences and meeting more editors, I would have editors contact me through my website saying, hey, I need this book written about sports science. Hey, would you like to write this big fat chemistry notebook for us? Because I had met the editors, but then they went and looked me up. Some editors just found me and I have no idea how. I would just get emails from editors at different houses. And at one point there were so many of them coming in, I had to turn a lot of them down because I just couldn't write that many books. And so, yes, if you build your name up and also I will say that what I do is rather unique. So this helps me because I not only write science books, I write STEM books, and I really kind of write the really technical ones. And there's not a whole lot of people that write very technical middle grade STEM books. But you can get your name out there and they will find you through your website.
Great. Okay. So that should be motivation for people who are thinking, I never want to ever do that, build a platform. You might rethink that down the road a little bit.
Well, but it takes a while. I will say this, it does take a while.
And it's one piece at a time. You don't have to build the whole thing at once. Right.
Exactly.
Okay. So is it important to gear your platform to your specific audience? For example, if you are a children's book writer, do you gear it to the adults who are buying the books or to the kids who are reading them?
Well, that's where this gets interesting. So, and part of it, I think, is you need to figure out a couple of things. One, who's buying your books? Where are they being bought? Are they being bought by direct consumers, meaning like parents are buying them, homeschools are buying them, and so forth? Are you seeing more of your sales happening on Amazon? Which I know everyone's like, Amazon, it's a fact. People buy a lot of books off Amazon. And, or are your books being bought by school and library market? And so you kind of need to figure out where your books are being sold. Now, what I have learned is that I sell a lot of books direct to the consumer, which means parents and some teachers and libraries, yes, but really my biggest sales are coming directly from parents and homeschoolers and so forth. So I put a lot of my effort, if you look at my website, I'm promoting myself more as a science educator, science speaker, and so forth. I kind of have toned down a little bit the school visits because I've noticed that it's tougher for me to get school visits because a lot of them are looking for, a lot of them are looking for picture book authors and fiction. But my books fit into the curriculum, but they're not stories. I write more expository books. So sometimes, it's just my observation for how I do it. So I think you need to figure out, if you can figure out who your market is, that's who you gear it towards. Plus also, what do you want to do? Like, if you want to do school visits, then you need to gear it towards teachers and so forth. If I like to go to book festivals, right? And I like to go to science festivals. Those are what really excite me. So my website is geared a little more towards that angle. Don't forget what you want to do. Don't try and do what you think you should do. Do what you want to do.
Mm-hmm. Sure. And like you said, if you're doing what you want, and it's not what a lot of authors are doing. So that helps you in that way as well. I imagine science festivals, there's probably fewer authors showing up there than trying to book school visits. So I imagine, there's less competition for spots.
But for me, I mean, I that's what I love. I mean, I love science, and I've been able to do some really amazing things. I mean, 2 years ago, I was at the World Science Festival in New York City, downtown, and I was one of the people that was leading up to their grand, let's see, Eric Whitaker is a multi-award winning, Grammy winning, I can't even say this, conductor and composer. There we go. I can say it. And so I was one of the authors that led up to him. And so we were, out there, and that was amazing. I did my presentation in front of 1,000 people on the lawn in the Brooklyn Bridge Park. That was amazing to me.
Yeah.
I like to go to big events like that. School visits are great too, but for me, I just love being around the science. That's
yeah. Great. So if an author is just thinking about their platform and thinking, okay, I got to start somewhere, what would be the one or two things that you feel kind of give them the most bang for their buck as far as where they can put their time starting out creating a platform?
So I went to this one talk by, and I may say his name, is it Michael Barrett? Is that how you say that? He's agent? He's Dystel, Goddard, and I think it's Barrett.
Yeah.
He gave a really great piece of advice, because this was a few years back, and like Instagram had just come out, and everyone was like, oh my gosh, which one should I be on? He said, pick one and do it very well.
Yeah.
So pick one platform and do it very well, get very comfortable with it, and get your name out, and then expand if you want. But his idea was also like, maybe get on it like twice or 3 times a day. That's it. Like, pick your times. Like, maybe you get on first thing in the morning, maybe you get on after lunch, and maybe you get on right before 5 p.m. or whatever. And that way you're limiting yourself and you're getting your name out there. But start slowly. Do a lot of, and it's not just shouting like, look at me. It's, oh, hey, the CBI Insider came out today. Did you see this? Or, oh, hey, this author was featured in Publishers Weekly, and kind of information stuff that shares information and networks with other people. That's a really good way to start your platform, just so people know, oh, hey, this person always talks about Kidlit.
Yeah.
Let's follow her or him.
Exactly. And people love it when you share their stuff, and then they may start following you back and sharing your stuff.
Yes.
So that's
exactly how it works. Yes.
Great. I just want to remind everyone, if you have questions for Jennifer, please put them in the Q&A box, and we will get to those in a few minutes. So when you've kind of covered this a little bit, I was going to ask, was there a strategy when you built your platform? You said you kind of had 4 different websites before you got to this. So I'm guessing no would be the answer initially. But once you kind of figured it out, did you have a strategy and said it has to all, did you think about what is my brand, for example, or did that just sort of organically happen?
Well, I mean, it was always science. But I think here, let's see, I was going to share my screen. Let me see if I can.
Yes, please share your screen. I want everybody to see your
Okay.
amazing website.
Let's see. That should be up there. Okay. So let's see. Share screen. There it is. Okay. Okay. So this is my website. And so people always ask me, where did you get the cool logo? So yes, I did pay to have the logo made. It wasn't that much. I have a graphic designer, and it's funny because if you look at all of my logos down here at the bottom, you will see that they all look fairly similar because the same person does them the same.
Nice.
And so when I built my platform, I mean, first and foremost, I'm an author. Okay, I'm a children's author. But as I moved through my career, I started to see gaps in things. For example, I saw that middle grade nonfiction STEM books don't get a lot of love, in my opinion. People find them very difficult to find. So I founded a blog called STEM Tuesday, which I basically got a bunch of award-winning STEM authors, middle grade STEM authors, to help me with this. And we started STEM Tuesday. So that adds to my science brand, right? All of a sudden, I'm expanding. The next thing I did was I actually decided to found a 501c3 nonprofit, which is called Kid Literacy. And that is to get authors and illustrators into schools. At the moment, we were rocking and rolling, and then the pandemic hit. But we're only doing this in Jacksonville, Florida, where I live. But that expands my brand, and we're actually going to expand that to add science and STEM into it, to kind of, because that was like, remember I said I have Outlier right here? It was Outlier. I was like, how does kid literacy fit into? Oh, I know. We'll start focusing on some STEM stuff, and that pulls in.
Sure, there you go. Before you continue, can you expand your screen a little bit? The view, or I don't know if you've got it maximized it so that we can see more of your website. I don't know.
Yeah, I think
the window. You just have to expand the window that you're sharing, but maybe not. Maybe you've already got it expanded.
I think it's expanded as far as the.
Okay, that's fine. Continue. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt there.
Oops, let's see, where did I go? Yeah, I was looking at this to see if I could expand, but I don't see anywhere.
It's just on the little box on the top corner there, right corner. But
yeah, okay.
It's so, probably as good as you can get it. Okay.
So then I have, I started just off the top of my head, I was seeing all of these different brand new like picture books coming. Let's, you know, we're in the picture book 2019. And I said, oh, where's the STEM one? Where's the STEM and STEAM books that are coming out? So it was really funny because I just kind of dropped it in one of these Facebook pages, and I was literally leaving town for the weekend, and I was like, hey, anybody want to do this? I'm thinking about starting this. And I didn't even check my Facebook page until we'd gotten down to Orlando. 2 hours later, I had like 40 people. Yes, I want to be in this. So we started STEAM Team. It's actually STEAM Team Books now, because we, which is basically anybody that has a STEM or a STEAM book that's coming out this year. We are a group that has formed a marketing team to help get the word out, which is what you'll find that helps. And then the last one was my pandemic project, which I started a podcast for kids. So this is Solve It for Kids. It's a podcast where, you know, that's direct to the consumer. So that's not so much about my writing, but the way it ties in is a lot of the experts and researchers I've talked to over 12 years have been on my show. And we've had some pretty big names. Next week, we have Philippe Cousteau, who is Fabian's cousin. And I've had Fabian on before and been able to meet him. So this is my science geek out thing. Sure. This is for me.
Well, and I think it does, all of these things do help get the word out about your book, because if my kid is listening to your podcast, I'm going to go, who's this person who's putting on this podcast? You know, especially if you're all excited on the podcast about science. And what's interesting about all of these things that you're doing, you're not doing them alone. You're pairing up with people, you're teaming up with people. So it's not like you had to pull all of this off completely by yourself.
No, that would be too much.
Yeah. So that's really key, I think, for a lot of this. And it allows you to do more because you're piggybacking on other people's efforts as well.
Exactly.
I also, what I liked about the homepage of your website is it has, I think you have it paused, but there's like video that sort of scrolls through the homepage that shows you speaking at all these various events or being interviewed.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah, and I love it because
that's me at the Library of Congress National Book Festival. That was pretty amazing.
I bet it was. And it just, you see this and you go, wow, this is a person who not only loves to talk about what she does, but she's comfortable speaking in front of people. Clearly you've been interviewed a lot, and it just kind of gives you a level of professionalism, I think, that someone who's looking to book an author in a program is going to see this and immediately be impressed by. So that doesn't mean that, you know, everybody has to do this on their website. If you haven't spoken anywhere, or if you're not comfortable speaking, don't feel you have to. But if that's part of your talent, then definitely showcase that, I think.
Yeah, exactly. And again, if you look at my website, it's not a typical author website.
No.
And in fact, when I just signed with my new agent, she was kind of like, your website's a little busy. I said, but I'm not trying to be an author necessarily only. Like, I'm trying to be a speaker and go to festivals and whatever. So again, make your website fit who you are and what you're trying to do. This is what fits me. But if that's not what fits you, then do something else. Right.
So you have, let's see what you have there. So you've got a lot for teachers, and your programs.
Yep.
So educator guides, that's really important, I think, especially when you're nonfiction, but even there's a lot of fiction now that ties in with STEM and STEAM, and can be used in the classrooms, or if you're writing historical fiction or anything like that. And to create teacher guides to go with it. Now, are these things that teachers can download for free from your site?
Yes. Okay. Yes. And if you're going to create a teacher guide for any of your books, it should always be free for the teachers. So most of these, because I know people are saying, did I pay for some of these? I paid for some, but some, you know, a lot of them the publishers paid for. And so that's always helpful.
Yes.
And then I have book trailers that I had made for a couple of my books. Those are fun. Book trailers, if you can make them yourself cheaply, are great. If you have to pay for them, kind of be sure where you're going to use it, if you're going to get a lot of use out of it.
There's a lot of really easy to use free programs now that allow you to create animation and edit video. So it's not that hard to create a book trailer.
Right. And then this one is started mostly because of the pandemic. So a lot of the publishers were saying, hey, could you put videos of yourself on, you know, either reading your book or whatever. That has a lot of copyright issues, and my books are way too long to read. So instead what I did was I did science experiments. So Save the Crash Test Dummies, I actually have the kids get cars and put those big jet puff marshmallows on it, and then we crash them together. We watch the marshmallow fly off, and then we put on seat belts and we watch the marshmallow stay on. So we're talking about physics and all that kind of stuff. And so I have a lot of these that I did. And let me just tell you, because people get nervous creating your own videos, I literally did it off Zoom, you know, off my laptop. And yes, some of them took 15 takes because I'm a perfectionist. You know, and I usually watch myself a video like this, right? Like, but you know, they remind yourself they don't have to be perfect.
No.
Okay, like they don't have to be perfect if you're going to do stuff like this. And if you're looking for a way to start your platform and all you have is one book, you can still do something like this.
Totally.
Right.
Totally.
And videos right now are kind of where it's at, so to speak. Like it's a way to get yourself out there. So this is something that you can easily do if you have a laptop at home and you're brave enough to try it. Why not?
And, you know, the whole idea that videos don't have to be perfect and polished, I think in the last year, a lot of those barriers have come down because everybody's been on Zoom. They've seen themselves on Zoom. Teachers are teaching on Zoom. They're not expecting this perfect produced video. And in a lot of ways, I think it is more endearing to see someone who's being real on the video. Yes. Even if they, drop something or their cat walks across their keyboard or whatever, I think it's great. And kids love that too. So
yes, they do.
Absolutely. Being yourself, I think, is the most important thing.
Yeah.
Okay, great. And then you obviously list all your books, which is super important. And then your contact info, also very important.
Yes.
I can't tell you how many websites I've been on where I have to hunt for the contact information. And it should be right up at the top like that.
Yes.
I love that. And by the way, there's been a lot of studies. John and I have this discussion all the time. Men and women scroll through websites differently.
Yes.
And most of your book buyers are going to be women if they're adults, if they're the teachers and the parents. The mothers tend to buy more of the books for the kids. We don't have time to hunt for stuff on a website.
No.
Put it right up at the top like Jennifer has, make it really easy to find, because I'm not going to scroll all the way to the bottom to find the contact info or to figure out your bio or whatever. So that's great the way you have that organized. It's really, really good.
Yeah. And can I just say one other tip? So everyone talks about where do you link your books to? Okay. I had a publisher who gave me great advice. Now I know this one's a little old and we should update it, but she said, put everybody up there.
Yeah.
See, it makes that way nobody's mad. Nobody gets mad.
Yeah.
Is what the publisher said to me. And if you have links to the publisher page where your book is, put that on there too. So some of these should link to the publisher page. But that way you can give them all a choice of where they want to go.
Right. Exactly. Yep. I love it. I love it. Okay. Is there anything else you want to show us from your website?
Nope. I mean, I think that's good. I think, again, and I know mine is all science and mine is all nonfiction. You can totally do this with fiction books too. It is not a problem. When you're trying to figure out where to start, Google some of your favorite authors and look at theirs. And that's kind of what I did. I went and looked at Melissa Stewart's. I was like, ooh, what does she have? And then I went to, a bunch of other ones like Nancy Castaldo. I looked for science authors and I kind of thought, ooh, I like that. I want that. I don't know if that's right for me, and just kind of make a collection so you can kind of figure out what fits on your particular website. And then play with it a little bit. Yeah, that works. And I need to redo this.
Right. Right. Now your site is fairly sophisticated, and I imagine you hired someone to create a lot of it for you. I'm just guessing, but
yes.
But are simple sites okay? I mean, there's a lot of, building your own WordPress site is not that complicated. If you want to just start with that, you don't need scrolling things and video and pop-ups and that kind of thing. Is that true?
That's how I started. So yes, I started building it for myself. And then when I started writing a lot more, it just got to be too much for me to keep updated. Don't pay a ton for your website, because I've heard people pay thousands, and I have not. I will tell you that. But I mean, you look at mine, you think it's all sophisticated. I did not even pay $1,000 for this. Now I found my website person was the team lacrosse mom with me. So when my kids were in lacrosse, we were just sitting there at a game one night, and she was like, what are you doing? And I said, oh my God, I have to redo my website. It's just, and she goes, do you know what I do for a living? I said, no. And I said, you're hired. And so I've been with her for, 12 years. So, great. And because we're friends, she gives me good prices too. And she's very good at her job. As you can tell, this is all her. So, if you find someone that fits what you do, that's a great way to do it too.
Yeah. Great. Well, I'm going to move on to some questions here. We have
Sure.
lots of people who want to ask you some stuff. So Terry asks, is the brand part of the platform and will it become self-evident? So let's go over that definition again of brand versus platform, first of all.
Yeah, so platform is all of the different sites that you're on to promote yourself. So that would be like Twitter and Instagram and whatever. So the brand is separate. My brand is Science Rocks. Now, once I determined that was my brand, then yes, it went on to all of my different platforms. So if you find me on Twitter, you'll see that I hashtag Science Rocks a lot, and I refer back, and I think I might even have it in my description. So the platform usually comes first, and then you figure out your brand after that, necessarily.
Okay.
That's kind of how I did it. I guess you can do it the other way around, but that's kind of how I figured out what I wanted to focus on.
I think it's probably whatever works for you. A lot of times, like we talked about toward the beginning, you might need to write 3 or 4 books before you start to see, what is my brand? Who am I as an author? And it's basically, how are you identifying as an author? What is the big sort of takeaway message people are getting from your books? Is it that science is really cool? Or is it, if you're writing fiction, do you tend to write a lot of contemporary, funny, middle grade, friendship stories? Or, you'll kind of get a gist of sort of who you are as an author, and that's going to help create your brand. And then that goes into your platform. A lot of times it's the colors people pick for their website.
Very good. Yes.
And the images that just kind of reflect that brand. So it's not something I think you can rush, because it's got to just really come out of who you are as a writer.
I agree completely. Yes.
Yeah. So this is a question we get a lot. We are told that publishers and agents will likely ask what my platform is. As an unpublished author who does not have a platform, what do I say? There's a lot of debate on whether they'll even consider you if you don't have a platform, and blah, 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 blah. So, and everybody has a different opinion on this. So what's your opinion?
Well, I think you should probably have some presence on social media, because I think the publishers are going to want that. It seems like the place to be, honestly, right now is more Twitter. It used to be Facebook, and we all had author Facebook pages, and then Facebook changed that. So now you can't even get I have 2,000 people on my Facebook page that I can't reach unless I pay to, promote it. So it seems like Twitter is kind of the place to be. Twitter is confusing and a little chaotic. But I think maybe start there and just find some hashtag groups, like hashtag am writing. Do you guys have a Write for Kids hashtag then follow that, kind of just get out there and test the waters, just so you have a little bit of a platform. I think they like to see something rather than nothing at all. But I don't think you have to be like, this is me, in order to get a contract.
No. And I think what it says to editors and agents is you understand how to get on social media, which means that you can do that when you have a book to promote. And that's really what the bottom line there is. And I know a lot of authors who are actually spending more time on Instagram now than anything.
Yes.
And that's like, and so I think, like you said, you have to find the one that fits your personality. Personally, I can't stand Twitter. It feel like there's thousands of voices shouting at me every time I go on Twitter. So I just tell John what I want him to tweet, and he does it. Because like, I'm not doing it. But Instagram, I like Instagram.
So I started on Twitter. I'm much more clunky, so to speak, on Instagram, because I'm still kind of learning. I think it was in November. I was so excited because I finally learned how to do a story on Instagram. I was like, look at me. I finally figured out how to do a story. So again, find where you're comfortable. Right? And then expand when you're ready.
Yes. I accidentally did a story on Instagram a few minutes ago. I didn't mean to, but I pushed the wrong button, and all of a sudden people are liking my story. I'm like, I didn't know I had a story. So be careful about that. Okay.
Yes.
Just saying. Okay. Um, Interesting. This is an interesting question. I'm a bilingual author. I have published children's lit in another language other than English, and have published lots of academic research papers in English, but nothing Kidlit yet. Shall I include all of those in my author website, platform, etc., or should it be more focused to just, for example, Kidlit, if that's what they want to be known for right now?
So if you want to be known for Kidlit, then I would probably focus on Kidlit. I mean, it's hard to understand because I need to know like what you're trying to get out of it, right? Like
Right.
if your focus is to be more on Kidlit, and if you write research papers, then the research papers are not, the publishers are going to not, that's not going to, I'm not going to say it's not going to impress them, because it impresses me, let me just tell you, but that's not what's going to get their attention. What's going to get their attention would be your Kidlit type stuff.
Sure.
So I would probably not put both of them, or if you're going to do it, then do it on different pages. Like make yourself
Right.
Kidlit and then say, oh, look, I have professional pages if you want to click
Or
up
it could
here.
certainly be mentioned in your bio on
Oh,
your
absolutely.
website. Yeah.
Yes. Put it in your bio.
And when you're querying a publisher, now, if you're writing nonfiction and say you've written research papers on a topic that your Kidlit book is also focused on, then it's relevant information in the query letter.
Yes.
It shows that you're an expert in this topic. Right.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. Do you have a press kit on your website? And if so, what do you think is important to have in a press kit?
No, it's on my to-do list for like 12 years. Press kits, it's in bits and pieces. I know people who literally have media and a press kit and all this kind of stuff. The problem with mine is you have to keep all that stuff updated, like very, you have to have current photos, you have to have current bios and all this kind of stuff. And I'm just a little too busy to do that. I would Google what to put in a press kit, because that's what I have done, and I have a list. It's just I haven't pulled it together yet.
Or again, like you said, study authors you like and see what they've done.
Yes.
I know when I have an author on the social and they have a very concise press kit that I can download a short bio. Here's some pictures. Here's the covers of their books, and it's all in one place. And I just copy, paste. I love it. But
yes,
that's me because I have special needs. But
I should have that. Do I have it yet?
Yes.
No.
And you were kind enough to send me pictures, so I appreciated that. Not a problem. And frankly, it's easy to right click and copy an image from someone's website. That's not that big a deal. But I appreciate when authors go that extra. Just a concise bio, I think, is really great to have when you're interviewed or on a.
And I do have that. I just don't have it in a press kit. Like there's not.
Yeah. Well, that's your next job right there.
I'll get right on that.
You got nothing else to do. A couple of people have asked about book festivals. If you could kind of say a little more about those. How do you find out about them? How do you find out about certain festivals in your sort of genre that might have speaking opportunities?
So basically, I spend to get into some of those, I spend a lot of time on the internet. Or I also look at what other people have gone. Some of my friends were like at the Tucson Book Festival. I was like, oh, what's that? How do I get into that? And then you kind of Google the Tucson Book Festival and you find out. I also, if you don't know me that well, but Laura's met me, so I'm very bold. So I will be like, I will find the name of the person who's in charge of the book festival. And, I'll be like, hello, this is who I am. Please, it would be great if you would consider having me. I mean, I've done that. I've kind of cold emailed people. Sometimes you get crickets. Sometimes you get invited the next year. I've had that happen. As far as the science festivals, I found out when they were applying for the Atlanta Science Festival. The World Science Festival, I got in because one of my experts on my Astronaut Aquanaut book, I ended up giving him 15 copies of my book to set out, and he sent it to one of his former interns who was working at the World Best Science Festival. And she was like, we are looking for authors. Would you like to come? Absolutely. So that's the other thing. Give books, be judicious. I'm not saying you just give books out, but sometimes a book that you give away, it may come back to you tenfold.
Right.
I mean, you never know where that's going to go.
Yeah.
So
yeah. Just having your feelers out. And, you can Google book festivals too.
Yes.
Just about every big city has book festivals.
Yep.
And there's also great festivals now for like young adult readers. They have festivals for the kids where they bring in authors and they sit on panels, and it's like you're a rock star and you have all these adoring fans. It's really cool. So there's, I think just doing a little exploring with some creative Googling is the way to go there. So Mary has an interesting question about Facebook versus a website. If you haven't published books yet, how would anyone other than your friends find your website?
That's a good question. So this is where you get into, this is what Facebook is good for. So there are Facebook groups out there. One of the big ones for nonfiction is Nonfiction Fest, NF Fest. If you aren't a member of Kidlit 411, which is also a huge Facebook group, you kind of get into find these, and you could just literally, again, Google writer groups on Facebook and see what comes up, and then ask to join some of them. But this is where writers are, and then you just say, hey everybody, I have, can you follow me on Twitter or on Instagram, and I have a brand new website, please, go check it out. And this is, you get writers on there first, kind of, and then they help get the word out about you. We're a great community for that.
Really, they are. Yeah, absolutely. So that's a great tip there.
I mean, Write for Kids, right? You get on that, and which, by the way, I have to tell everybody, I signed up for CBI Insider when I was first starting out, and you guys were mailing the Insider to people.
Yes.
And so that was awesome. So I have been a member for CBI for a long time. So I highly recommend what you guys do.
Thank you. Yes. Appreciate that. And this has been so fun doing the distancing social, because a lot of my guests have told me that. They're like, oh yeah, and I subscribed to you 25 years ago when I started writing, and like, oh, that's so cool.
I still have some of them in one of my notebooks somewhere, because I used to save them all.
Those will be worth money someday. Hang on.
There you go.
The Smithsonian will come asking for them someday.
That's great.
This is a great question by Katie. Do you have links in place for people to order signed books from you? Is that worth doing?
Okay, so that's where it gets a little more interesting. So the easiest way to do stuff like this is to have an independent bookstore or your local bookstore be the person that you can that can do that for you. Because, and so that's why one of the ones was the Bookmark. That's an independent bookstore here in Jacksonville. And if people call the bookstore or order from the bookstore, then I can go in and sign them. I send out book plates if people want me to, which is like the little sticker. But that's a little more difficult to do. Is it worth it? I don't know. I mean, I know some authors do it around the holidays. They'll offer it around the holidays, or for like book week or something like that. For me, I haven't gotten a lot of requests. I know some of the bigger fiction or nonfiction authors, they get a lot of requests. I think you just have to decide if that's what you want to do. It's just extra work for you.
It is, and then you have to take the books to the post office and mail them. And yeah. Okay, well, so it's up to you. We're getting up close to the top of the hour here, but there are a couple sort of writing questions on STEM books, so I thought I'd throw those out at you. To write a STEM or STEAM book, is there a place to research what is required? I'm a newbie wanting to write on a specific subject. So are there sort of guidelines as to, do you look at like the curriculum, the standard curriculum for STEM or STEAM?
Okay, so if you're writing for educational publishers, then yes, they really follow the curriculum, but they tend to give you the topic. Okay. It's
Mhm.
like I said, it's work for hire. If you're
Right.
writing trade, it's not as important. I'm not saying you shouldn't be aware of it, but it's not as important that you stick directly to the Common Core or NGSS. And a lot of it is because it used to be everybody did Common Core and NGSS, next generation science standards, and now it's some of the states are starting to have their own, right? So it's kind of, do you follow? I'm writing to the Florida standards, I'm writing to the Texas standards.
Right.
Just what you should be aware of is I'm writing a book about car safety engineering. I know that they don't typically learn that until third, fourth, fifth grade. They're not going to learn the Newton's laws of motion until that. So I know that my book can't be a young picture book unless I'm writing in a very, very different way, you know, like whatever. You should be aware of the terms that you can use for the specific grade levels if you're writing science. That's probably the most important thing.
So is it helpful to look at sort of the standard curriculum and know, like you said, what kids learn at different grades, so you kind of understand what their base knowledge is going to be going into this subject?
Yes. I mean, and I look up NGSS, but when I was submitting, did I say that it hit these particular curriculum in my query letter? No, I did not. That might come up with the editor later or with the marketing team, right? Because they're trying to figure out what age group to market this for and all this kind of stuff. But I did not include the curriculum specifics in my query letter.
Okay, great. I saw another one about, oh, here we go. Now this isn't quite what you do, but you might have an opinion on it. Can you talk about writing and promoting creative STEM picture books with fictional characters, but factual STEM information included? So that is very different from what you write.
Right.
And I know that that's kind of a lot of, it's almost a new genre of creative nonfiction that's emerging.
Yes.
I would say sort of a classic example would be like The Magic School Bus, where you have this story, but then there's facts. Anyway, what are your thoughts?
Well, I mean, I think you promote it like you do anything else. I mean, at the moment, STEM is gaining some speed, which is nice to see, particularly during the pandemic, because a lot of teachers just couldn't, you know, are finding it difficult to do interactive STEM stuff at home while you have all of these kids in their different houses and all this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I think you just promote it like anything else. You can say it's a great narrative story. We have amazing characters, but hey, they're also learning STEM. I mean, I know there's a lot of fiction series out there right now that have girls doing STEM or boys doing STEM or solving mysteries with STEM and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, absolutely. There's a way to do it. I would just find an author who has a book similar to what you're writing, see how they're doing it. I mean, that's kind of what a lot of this business is, right?
Sure.
Like we just go out and find out what's already been done and then change it so it fits you.
Exactly. And I think I'm seeing a lot more fiction picture books that have STEM tie-ins with back matter. So I think that is becoming more and more common, even if it's a fiction book, have that back matter with the solid science concepts or whatever, you know, you want to tie in with the book.
Or history. I mean, it works for history books too, you know, anything like that.
You got to put an H in STEAM somehow. So I don't know how you're going to pronounce that.
I don't know.
Okay, well, we're coming up at the top of the hour. I'm going to ask you one more question. We've had tons of questions here about making videos because, you know, I agree with you. It's very important. And I think you freaked a lot of people out, but.
Well, I'm just as freaked out. I mean, literally the first time I did a video, I'm not kidding. I think I did it like 15 times. So you know, Google the easiest way to do videos. On most laptops, they have, you know, there's video software that's already there. I actually do mine sometimes through Zoom because then you can video it, but it gets interesting because you have to start and then you'll stop and then you'll redo yourself and all this kind of stuff. You know, kind of have like a script in your head or write it out, like what you're going to do. I knew the experiments that I wanted to do. And, you know, the other thing you have to be aware of is time, because, you know, I've been doing a lot of online conferences and they want videos is what they want. So So you're doing a whole hour of your presentation, just you talking to a screen. And
Yeah.
you feel a little stupid. I'm sorry, but you just do. But you also have to be, here's another thing. Get a timer. Because a lot of these are like, we only want a 3-minute talk. Well, I'm a talker. So, the first video I did was amazing. It was 6 minutes long.
Yeah.
So I had to go back and do it again. So basically just kind of breathe and relax when you do these, because it'll come across, if you're nervous. And you can always delete it and start over.
Exactly. You may feel dumb talking to the screen, but there's no one watching, so you can do it over
until you hit send, and then you make sure you like it.
Yes. Yes. The videos that authors might put up on YouTube of them either reading from their book or doing a science experiment, do you have a length recommendation? Is there an attention span that you've discovered for that stuff?
So for mine, I try to keep, I think if you look at my videos, my experiment videos, they're probably no longer than 8 or 10 minutes. Now, if you're reading a picture book, it might be a little bit longer. But the thing is my idea is I want teachers to maybe use these in their classrooms or as adjunct type stuff. So if you figure that a normal class period might be like 40 minutes long, you want to make sure that you're staying fairly short to give the teacher enough time to talk before and after and have a discussion. And so for example, on our podcast, we try to keep our podcast close to about 20 minutes. For that's about the length of time we figure a 10, 12 or 14-year-old's going to listen to a podcast.
Right. Okay, terrific. Well, thanks, Jennifer. This has been great. I appreciate you letting us pick your brain here tonight.
Sure, it was wonderful. Thanks for having me, Laura.
Yeah. So, and thanks for hanging with us all these years at CBI. That's just so great to see successful authors. I feel like, you throw.
You played a part in it, definitely. I used to read your things from the beginning to end and get all your tips for where to stuff. So any of you guys, if you have questions, you can find me through my website and send me questions through there. But good luck to you all on your writing careers, because
absolutely
it's a fun thing. It's not an easy thing, but it's a fun thing to do.
That's great. That's great. All right. Well, thanks so much, everybody, for joining us tonight. Thanks again, Jennifer. And we will see you all next week.
Okay. Bye.
Bye.